was she? What do you think of when you hear that name? A prophet, a writer, a speaker, God's messenger. Yes, all of these things. But what about a different side of Ellen White? My name is Ella Robinson, and I'm here to show you a different side of my grandmother that perhaps you've never seen before. My grandmother was a woman who believed in helping people in any way she could. I can remember when our house would be filled with strangers who needed a place to stay, but her kindness wasn't limited to people. Oh no, she had a special place in her heart for animals as well. She made friends with animals wherever she went. As soon as her foot touched the barn floor, the pony would whinny a welcome and was ready for the petting she knew was coming. One day, Grandma and I were riding in a carriage and we came upon a man unmercifully beating his pony. It was a thin, bony, poor thing who was struggling to pull a heavy cart up a hill, and the load was much too heavy for that poor animal. So my grandmother quickly ordered me to stop the carriage. I watched as she climbed down and approached the man, her usual peaceful expression replaced by indignation. "Sir, have you lost your reason? Can't you see that this poor creature is doing her best?" The man, shamed by his behavior, apologized and removed half the load to be carried later in a second trip. Years later, after Grandma's death, I had long forgotten the incident when one morning I was reading my Bible. I came across a verse that brought it back to my mind. Proverbs 12:10, "A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast." Another thing about Ellen White is how much she loved children. Grandma usually had anywhere from 1 to 6 children at her house. She treated them as her own and they called her mother. She loved boys and girls and they knew it and loved her back. She would even let us have grand pillow fights now and then, which we would go at with all the energy our little bodies could muster. My most favorite story that my grandmother would tell me was the one about the wall paste. Ellen always made lunch for her sons each day at lunchtime. The boys would come home from school for a quick meal. One day they came home from school to find that their mother wasn't around, but there was a pot of wheat and water on the stove, and the boys figured that that was what they were to eat for lunch. So they scooped the mixture into bowls and ate it. After the meal, the boys frolicked back to school. At the end of the day, the boys came back home. They made sure to thank their mother for the meal that she made for them. Ellen became confused. She said, "What did you boys eat?" The boys told her that they ate the wheat and water. Ellen became alarmed and said, "Boys, that was the wall paste." Oh, what a classic story. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I really hope you enjoyed the stories of my great dear grandmother. She really was just like you and me. I loved her so much. Thanks for being such a great listener. Until next time, God bless you.